Alright, well, let's play through the Namco DLC for Atari 50. I'll probably fiddle with the volume a little bit as we go, just to make sure that, because I'm a little bit worried that the games are going to be loud and the videos are going to be low. But the first dot. Namco Limited, currently Bandai Namco Entertainment Incorporated, the pioneering Japanese game developer that would give the world Pac-Man, Galaga, Tekken, Ridge Racer, and more, is a well-known name in games. But did you know that Namco's history as a video game maker started with one of Atari's first big mistakes? Rooftop horse rides. At 29 years old, Masaya Nakamura founded Nakamura Manufacturing Company in Tokyo, Japan in 1955. This company started out by operating mechanical horse rides for children on the rooftop of a department store. Look at this dude. I refurbished the machines myself. I would polish them and clean them every day. I was there to welcome the mothers of the children as they arrived. Masaya Nakamura, the ultimate history of video games. Look at these kids having a good time. These kids obviously having a great time. I don't know about these horses though, man. Like, I was expecting something a little more. There's like a barrel with a horse head on it, but do they? It's hard to see, but holy. Can we hide? Yeah. Hide caption? Yeah. Look at. Are they just on a spring or something? Maybe I don't know if they move themselves or if they just. This kid. Look at this guy. What? Oh. Nakamura Manufacturing Company logo. The original logo for Nakamura's company was based on the original business of wooden horse rides. It's pretty good. All right, hold on a sec. Let me do an audio check at this part, because it seems to go loud to not so loud. I don't want it to be too loud. If I talk and I say things and I talk and I say things, what does it sound? Alright, we're going to go with this just because the videos I think are going to be low, but we'll try with the next. Looks like we got one coming up here, so. Namco. Eventually, Nakamura Manufacturing Company started producing its own coin-operated amusement machines. It started using the Namco branding on some machines in 1971 and changed the company name to Namco in 1977. The creator of the manufacturer of the F1 takes great pleasure in announcing its new name. Call us Namco. Namco, the name you can depend on. Namco Limited. There he is. Look at him chilling. Atari Japan. In August 1973, Less than a year after the release of Pong, Atari opened Atari Japan to distribute its video games in a lucrative Japanese market. Unfortunately, Atari was not prepared for how difficult it was to break into Japan.
We had Atari Japan that we ended up selling to Namco. Atari Japan actually put Namco in the video game business.
Wow.
Before that, the only thing they did were kiddie rides.
Why did you end up selling it to Namco? What?
Okay, we were young and dumb. And it turns out that in order to establish a business in Japan, you need all kinds of regulations, none of which we did. We actually started it by taking suitcases full of money, cash, and we rented a building, and we hired people.
In Tokyo? Or
in Tokyo.
Oh, man.
And it was a thing where all of a sudden they kind of started catching up to us, and we thought, okay, this is not good. Maybe we can sell it.
Did you make a profit on the thing?
We actually did.
Nice. All's well that ends well.
Yeah, but it was just, there's an interesting story there too. Pong for the home did not do well in Japan.
Too much space?
Kids wouldn't have their friends over. There wasn't a place. Homes were too small, and so kids would meet in a coffee shop or a karaoke center or something like that, but not at home. So the game that took off in Japan was actually Breakout. That's what established the consumer game market in Japan.
Notable and quotable for various reasons, including poor maintenance and a selection of inappropriate locations. Atari Japan's business was not really doing well. Masaya Nakamura, The Ultimate History of Video Games. So, I don't know any of this, by the way. Any of this Namco Atari stuff. I don't know. Pong comes to Japan. In November 1973, Namco partnered with Atari to distribute Pong machines in Japan. This was Namco's first entry into the video game business. Wait a minute, do we... Very unassuming machines. Space Race. Namco continued to distribute Atari's early arcade games in Japan, including Gotcha, Quadrapong, and Space Race, the Japanese language flyer for which is pictured here. Look at that machine there. That's something. Atari logo looks a little different. Namco buys Atari Japan. In October 1974, Atari sold Atari Japan to Namco. Namco would continue to import Atari cabinets from the US and sell them in Japan. There they are. Brokering the deal. Atari Japan Corporation. Breakout Smash. Namco had its first big arcade hit with Atari's Breakout, which was so popular in Japan that Namco eventually ended up manufacturing Breakout machines itself to fill the demand. Looks like this is our first game that we can play. Let's play it. Now, this is the Japanese version of Breakout. I don't know if it's any different. Yeah, that. Got it. That. Wait, this. Wait, that. There we are. I like Breakout. So I'm not again this. I ain't again it. I'm for it. But playing on a controller with these games is not like good though. It's not the way to play. You need the spinny. You need a spin. See, I would have got that had I been a spinner. But I'm not a spinner. Try again. Man, get out of here. Get out of here with that. We need some Call of Duty aim assist on this paddle. No. I want to at least break through once, you know? I don't know if I'll be able to, though. I imagine some Japanese kids, though, were killing it with this. Cat's playing with the box, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that, but... It's Christmas for them, too. They get the boxes. So I read why cats like boxes, by the way. It's because they're predators, but they're also prey because they're small. So they like ambush spots. They like a spot that they can ambush. They can be safe, but they can also ambush. And so they're drawn to boxes. And you know, you could just like tape off a little box on your floor and they'll sit in it. One more time here. One more time here. I don't know if I mentioned this. This is like a fairly recent DLC for this. I mean, what we really want is the Activision and maybe the Magic. Because those were the two companies I found that were sort of had the consistently best games for the 2600. Now, whether you'd ever get Activision, I don't know. But, man. You have to believe we're in magic. You know, but like, think of all the Activision games you had that were good. I mean, for one, they had Pitfall. I got one cat that likes to play in the box, but the other one likes to destroy them. Right now, she's tearing chunks out of the side of it. I don't understand what... You know... be like that? Why you gotta be like that? Do I have the high score? Is that why it's flashing? Or is it always flashing? All right, one more time. Literally one more time. But I'm starting to get it, though. Like, I'm starting to feel it. You know what I mean? There was a one or two, I'm trying to remember, but in the original Atari 50 stuff, there was a couple of the breakouts that felt really good on controller, I remember. This one feels like it's not bad, but, you know, these games you want that little... See, like... When it's right close to your controller and it's or your paddle and you know you're gonna miss it just by a millimeter, like that's where you have like the little bit of control to just kind of tick it over with a wheel with a spinner. But yeah. You know. There's no like hitbox or whatever you want to call it on the sides of the. Well, there is, but but like you know the one next to it, it always that goes through it. See how it? But like I said, it doesn't. All right, last one for real. Absolute for real this time. I gotta get to Dig Dug, obviously. Oh, and Pac-Man, yeah. All right. Okay, all right. Fine. Fine, fine, fine. Oh, there's more info in there. A single-player, brick-breaking variation of Pong's ball and paddle mechanics. Breakout was created by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who later formed Apple. The working prototype came as a surprise to Atari's head of engineering, Al Alcorn, as it was not an assigned project. Breakout Le Mans flyer. A flyer from later in 1976 advertising Breakout alongside the Atari driving game Le Mans, which was also a success for Namco in Japan, though not nearly as massive as Breakout. There's Breakout. And there's Le Mans, which you don't see much of Le Mans, do you? They just got some drawings of the courses, but... Oh, and a mystery course. Looks like maybe. Where's the? There should be a like a translate button on this, don't you think? Wouldn't that be nice if they did that? Had like, hey, hit this button to translate. So I don't have to use my phone? I'm not going to use my phone, but... Oh, my coffee is suffering. Video golfer. Namco and Atari maintained a close relationship in early 1978. Masaya Nakamura traveled to Pebble Beach in California to attend a meeting of worldwide Atari distributors and took first place in the company golf tournament. Oh. Look at that. That must have been a big day. Starship One, the Japanese flyer for Namco's release of Atari's Starship One arcade game, a black and white space shooter played with a first-person perspective. Oh, wait, there's another one in here. Hey, that looks all right. Do we get to play this? I don't think so. Super Breakout. Super Breakout. With Namco having been a massive hit in Japan, it is no surprise that Namco jumped on the opportunity to distribute Super Breakout as well. All right, we'll play it. I have to say, you know, these games were already in the other version of the game, though, so, like, you know, probably would have been nice to get some of these ones that weren't, like Starship One, I'm pretty sure was not. Let me just warm up my coffee, and then I'll be back and play some Super Breakout, which I remember being pretty good, actually. Yeah, Super Breakout, let's go. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, play. Programmer Ed Rotberg updated the original brick-breaking coin-op with multiple modes that the player could select via a switch, which was a rarity in 1978. Double offered dual panels and 2 balls. Cavity featured trapped balls that the player could free, and the high-tension progressive mode drops the brick wall closer to the player as the game progresses. Ooh. All right. Game select. All right, let's start with this one. I don't know if we're going to play all the versions, but I need a credit. Hold on, this game's quite a bit louder. So loud. Super Breakout. Oh, I'm on the lowering. I didn't know that. Ooh. I didn't know I was on the lowering version. I wonder. Can you? Is there a? Yeah. Is there a button to say no? I've changed it to cavity, but I don't know that that matters. The game has already started, so. I was trying to see if there was a button to like speed up your paddle. Sometimes in these games, when they when they port it, they give you a button to like. Sometimes these games, when they port it, they give you a button to. I don't want cavity though. I kind of like. I guess progressive is what we're playing. I kind of like progressive. Let's. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. This seems harder. But I guess it is super. Super breaker. Imagine you like go in the arcade and you have no idea it's coming out and you're like a Japanese kid and you're just like, oh. And then you get to the arcade and there it is. Super Breakout. And you freak out because you love Breakout. And you didn't even know Super Breakout was coming out. You just showed up at the arcade one day and there it is, Super Breakout. And you're just freaking out and you'd go get all your friends and you're like, they got Super Breakout at this arcade, let's all go. And everyone's just huddling around the Super Breakout machine with their yens up on the top of the machine so that they're next. Those good days, I'm sure. This wide. I don't like this wide. Get up in there. Get up in there. No, I want to get up in there. I wonder if there's a timer on the serve button. Or you just sit there forever and wait. Yeah. No! Alright. Oh, we did get the high score. Alright, that's Super Breakout. Pretty good. I like Super Breakout. Should we check out the other modes? Like, I'm pretty sure I would have checked these out on the first time around, right? This is going to be the same game. I don't know if it's changed for the Japanese market or whatever, but it seems to be the same. We can try one, though. But, I mean, it's going to be... those balls are just going to immediately sink. Because... like, you know... it's going to be hard to get all these multi-balls. Bump it. 10 points. Embarrassing. All my Japanese friends will be making fun of me. Oh, come on. I guess what it is you can't get more than one block per, like, well, I don't know. I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know why you can't, like, you hit one block and then you can't hit the one at the side of it is what I'm trying to say. Like, that just one went right through the other block. But then sometimes you can. So I'm not sure what the... See, right there, like, why wouldn't I hit the block beside it, you know? We know what's going to happen with this one. What else we got? Double? Oh, 2 paddles? I don't know about this. Oh, there's 2 balls, too. This is just incongruous in my brain, this one. Is this only 1 player? Because this would be like a good 2-player version. You know, one controls the top one, the other controls the bottom one. But breaks my head a little bit. We have to believe we're in magic. So pobre. All right. Okay, we're good. Galaxian. Namco began releasing its own original games in 1978. In 1979, it released its first big hit, Galaxian, which evolved the outer space shooter gameplay of Space Invaders with colors and dramatic action. Enemies would swoop down from their flight formation, dive bombing the player. Okay, why don't we okay, I sense like this is cool. I like this, but I sense that Namco was like, listen, we still sell all our old arcade games, so you can't have that. You have to have the Atari version. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where's Galaxian and where's Pac-Man, the arcade version? And the answer is they still sell them. Like, you can still buy them on your consoles and stuff. So I think that was a bit of a consolation they had to make to Namco to do this, it seems. It's a bit of a miss not to have the arcade versions of these classics, but... Pac-Man. On May 22nd, 1980, Namco placed a single cabinet of a new game called Puck-Man in a Tokyo arcade. Soon renamed Pac-Man, this simple maze game would soon become the greatest video game in the world. It's a pristine... Actually, it's probably... I think these are these real or are these like CGI? This one looks like it might be real, actually. Iwata and Nakamura. Pac-Man's original creator, Toru Iwata, left, and Masaya Nakamura posed with a Puck-Man machine. Man, this dude on the left, he killed it. Pac-Man VCS. Nearly 2 years after its original arcade release, a home version of Pac-Man finally appeared on the VCS. Highly anticipated by a world still in the grips of Pac-Man fever, it would sell over 8 million copies, making it the highest-selling VCS game of all time. I had this. And I liked it. And I know a lot of people don't like it these days, but all right, let's play it. Gobble up video wafers, by the way, because they can't make dots. While avoiding the Ghost Quartet in the first home version of Pac-Man ever released, while the graphics and audio were quite different from the original, it was the only official Pac-Man game in the Atari 2600 to include 2-player alternating play. Boo, 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 boo. I kind of remember being like a mega boss at this game. My recollection is it only gets so hard, and then eventually, like, if you've got it down, you could just keep going. I feel like that might be the case. It's been a while, though. Like, it doesn't change up too much. I mean, you can select a higher difficulty, but you know, it's not that. And I doubt very much too that the ghosts have. There's the only bonus item, the wafer or the cookie or whatever it is. I doubt very much that the ghosts have different personalities like the arcade game. The arcade game, they all have different personalities. Like one always goes towards you, one's random, one does something else. Like they all do different things. And then they turn into like haunted house eyes. Oh, you don't get a chance to. Absolutely. It's a good sound. Oh, hey, wow. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, you gotta. I was just about to say you have the warp at the top and the bottom there. I was gonna use it, but I got absolutely demolished. Alright, let's use this power pellet and not get. Yeah, there we go. Get our last. That guy. You grab that. Excellent. Excellent. Get in the plane. Got him. Got him. They're probably going to talk about it, but this is like a total like the fact that they even were able to do this on Atari is pretty impressive. But I think there's a video about it coming up, so we'll see what they say about it. Oh, I hate having one dude. Yeah, there we go. Oh God. Get. No. No. All right, well, that's Atari Pac-Man. I think pretty good considering, all things considered. Love at First Bite, a gallery of magazine and newspaper advertisements for the long-awaited home version of Pac-Man. Oh yeah, it's the game everyone is waiting for. We'll help you celebrate the arrival of this little man in a big way with posters, buttons, mobiles, and more. In fact, April 3rd has been declared National Pac-Man Day, a full-fledged media event you'll want to be part of, so stay tuned for details. The arrival of this long-awaited Atari game program cartridge is sure to bring increased sales and excitement to your store. I agree. Look at this. That's a pretty good art. Those are the exact same ghosts, just recolored. They look like it. Have you played Atari today? This is a very small picture of Pac-Man, so you can't see what it looks like. That's smart. Les fantômes existants, les privés à Pac-Man la mange. I don't know what la preuve means. That's manger. That's eat. So it's like, well, fantôme is that's ghosts. Ghosts exists. The ghosts exist for Pac-Man to eat, something like that. I'm not gonna read all that though. I don't know any of that. Look at all those cartridges. Look how nice they would look. You know, as a kid, you know, I never had the boxes, never kept them, but they would have been cool. How to stay ahead of a .eat in a .eat world. Stay ahead in simple ways. Blah 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 blah. What's this? What language is this? I don't know what that. I have no idea what language that is. Did I see all the pictures? There's another one here. Monte Carlo. That guy's going to Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo. All right. The origins of Pac-Man, VCS Pac-Man. Creating a version of Pac-Man that will run on the Atari VCS posed several tricky design challenges. In this video, Atari programmer Todd Fry explains how he set about tackling them.
We had a coin-op lab with the current leading coin-op games in it. They're in the VCS division. So we had a Pac-Man coin-op around, and honestly, it didn't really grab me the way Defenders did. Defenders was the game that really sung to me. Bob Pilar remembers this differently than I remember it, but the boss at that time, Dennis Coble, said, okay, there's 2 projects to be done, Pac-Man and Defenders. And Bob said to me, I don't see how to do Pac-Man, so I'll do Defender. The thing that made the dots was what's called Playfield. So Playfield was for, in the 1975 arcade games, was the chunky stuff you were driving around that was static, that was just fixed, that you couldn't change. But you could actually get in on the 2600 and change the playfield on the fly. Now the maze is basically what Playfield was for. Using the playfield for the dots was not what Playfield was for, but we did. It wasn't easy, but basically in the same way you could chop the screen up into vertical slices, you could say, in this slice, when I get to this part of this slice, I'm going to go through and change the background as we go across the screen. But if you actually want to change them during the gameplay, if you want the second half of the screen to be different from the first half of the screen, you actually have to go and rewrite the playfield registers while the electron beam is moving across the screen. And that is doable, and that is how I did the dots. And then after that, we had discovered Flicker. Now, Flicker and Pac-Man is a big deal. One of the things you can do is just say, I've got 2 things that you can draw. 1975, 2 of those was great. Now we had 5 of them on the screen that mattered. Pac-Man has 4 ghosts and a Pac-Man and a fruit, which is actually 6 things that you would call players in some of our parlance, or sprites in normal video game parlance. And they are, they're little cartoon characters. And they change across the screen like the dots you're picking up, they're just little pucks, little ones. And there's only 2 of those. So, Flicker happened, right? Flicker happens by saying, I'm going to always play the Pac-Man, and I have 4 ghosts, and I'm going to draw one of them every 4th frame. And that's it. And then the ghosts are sitting there. They're on for a frame and off for 3, and then on for a frame and off for 3, and it looks horrible. And people know that. And I do so, and I say, look, they're ghosts. I mean, you could see them. They were good enough.
I will say the Flicker 2 kind of gives them a like a see-through look, you know, like a ghost would be. A 2-player game. Todd Fry felt that one aspect of Pac-Man that had to be preserved was the 2-player mode, but this added even more technical hurdles. Digital Clip Studio head Micah joins Todd to discuss the impact of this feature.
I made this decision in Pac-Man to support the 2-player game. So for me, what I considered to be really important about the coin-op game, and a lot of coin-op games do this, they're 2-player games. You come up, you put in 2 quarters, player 1's up, player 1 gets through however far and then loses, dies. And then player 2 comes up and plays their screen, and when they die, player 1 comes back and their screen is saved where they left off. Right, so this is, you're both progressing, you know, basically to see who can get the furthest, right? So you have to pick up where you left off for that. Storing what your score was, which is not that bad, but where all of the dots were and what level you were on in terms of difficulty, used, I'm going to say, a lot of ROM. And I laugh when I say a lot of ROM because a lot of ROM was like 22 bytes, right? But 22 bytes is a good chunk out of 128. There's 128 bytes of RAM. What's the problem? What are you whining about, Todd? But in that case, that was a decision I made. I really looked forward to people in living rooms having the coin-op experience, having a more social experience than watching another person play the game straight through and then taking turns that way.
I can recount knowing that Pac-Man was coming. We did a pre-order and we went to Sears. I got the Sears Telegames version of it, the black box version. Our whole family hopped in the station wagon. We went to go and we waited in line. We would play 2-player and hand off to the next, because it was my mom, my dad, my brother. And we played this game 2-player quite often, and we had our own kind of tournament kind of going on in the family and everything like that. But I was when we think about it as a multiplayer game,
It never occurred to me that it didn't have to be a 2-player game.
I love that it was a 2-player game.
But I imagine people sitting on their couch in their living room with their buddy after school playing a game and then going to the other game.
So I had it timed to precision because when I was in school, we had a half-hour lunch. And I lived about 5 minutes away from the school. So my friend and I would run home. And the importance of having a 2-player mode was it kept it fair. Because if one of us just started playing, the other person would get a turn.
Right.
And I think that after they just play through all
Until
their
the
lives.
whole games, right?
Yeah. And so that really sucked. So 2-player mode was essential when you had very time critical.
Well,
play.
kind of not just that. I imagine that the whole emotional dynamic of, okay, my turn. I'll see how I do with this life.
Yeah.
And then, okay, now it's my life. And then yours, it's like, and like I get what you just said, the alteration is at a finer grain.
Yeah.
So you both get more kind of, you get maybe the same amount of playtime total.
But we ended up went from a very competitive, when it was just one game at a time, to us actually kind of like cooperatively wanting each person to do really well. I don't know what the psychological reason for that was.
All right, why Fry? After Pac-Man's release, Atari began to pay royalty payments to designers of its hit games. Todd Fry ended up earning over $1 million in bonus payments, which turned out to be a double-edged sword.
The Friday before the Monday that I started, the Activision crew left. They all just like up and left to form Activision. They wanted their name on the titles and they wanted royalties. So after a year or so, after a couple years, a bunch of my friends left to form a company that did another Activision. They left to form a company called Imagic. And then one of the Atari engineers got hooked up with a major Hollywood outfit and started talking about doing another Activision Imagic, not a deal where we actually got compensated at like a fraction of the profits of the products we did. You know, like Atari was paying engineers $35,000 a year to make 2 games that sold $500,000 each with a $20 or $15 margin. So they were making bank and paying reasonable salaries for something that actually some of us were the only people who could do at that point at a reasonable rate. And one day I went into my boss's office and I said to him, George, I really like working here, but it's starting to cost me money. So they created a royalty program. The next week, it was 10 cents a cart, which is a pittance, actually. We were not businessmen. We were software engineers. We were pocket protector, thick glass nerds. We were nerds and burnout hippie nerds, and we were not Steve Jobs. We were not going, no, 10 cents isn't enough. We went, oh, that's great. And that was like in very early March. And then Pac-Man sold 3 million copies in 2 weeks. And in early April, I got a check for $300,000, and that was awesome. So my last name is Fry, F-R-Y-E. And there's a boot company. Someone in CoinOp, someone had gotten a big poster for Fry boots and written in large letters at the top, why Fry? It's, there's a thing in Logic layout where if you put a line across the top of something, it's a not. So I took a big black pen and put a black line across the top of the Y, because why not Fry? I am the oldest I have ever been. Got the whole rest of my life ahead of me. It's the longest since those times. And I actually am kind of having some kind of pensive retrospection. It's like I wasn't really attuned to the impact that giving me $1 million had on people who were actually, I'm going to say, this is going to gag coming out of my throat, even more technically capable than I was, who could have done a better job of Pac-Man if that had been their role. And I just, why me? It's just right. The not wrong person at just the right place at just the right time.
You guys doing some real introspection. All right, that was interesting. But Pac-Man's a big deal. I mean, we got 3 videos on it. So. National Pac-Man Day. Declaring April 3rd, 1982 to be National Pac-Man Day, Atari sent costumed Pac-Man and Blinky characters to 27 different cities to hand out Pac-Man merch and drum up enthusiasm for what was then the most anticipated launch of any home video game. Man, National Pac-Man Day? That would have been awesome. Look at... Oh, they got a police escort? Oh, the kids are like, oh, yes, Pac-Man. Oh, man. Aw, look at him. Look at this dude. Oh, he's a secure... Okay, he's not a police officer. Is he? Security. I think he's just a security guard. Maybe? Unless it says police at the bottom there. I don't know. He's got 2 guns. Must be somewhere in Texas. Discover how far you can go. That's all the pictures. All right, we got down here. Interview with Pac-Man. Atari Age magazine must have caught up with Pac himself during National Pac-Man Day because it ran this interview with the legend in one issue. I understand you have a new girlfriend. Isn't it amazing how these rumors start? Let's set the record straight once and for all. There's a new arcade game with a lady Pac-Man, and they tell me she's real cute. Long eyelashes, a bow in her hair, and curves in the right places, but I've hardly met the lady. Okay, that's wrong. People have not even played Miss Pac-Man because in between the levels, Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man meet and stuff. And they chase each other around and hearts come out. You got to be fake interview. Newspaper advertisements. Series of daily newspaper ads counted down the days until National Pac-Man Day and hopes no one would miss out on festivities. Oh, it even has, like, it's eating up all the dots. Countdown continues. Anticipation for the VCS version of Pac-Man was off the charts, as seen in this update from Video Takeout, a video game store based in Los Angeles, California. The store expected to get copies on March 10th. We should have it in around March 10th and begin shipping on pre-orders immediately. And just keep shipping until we run out. Atari is busy releasing other good stuff. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Still playing for Christmas 82's Atari Super Game. More information as to come as we get it. You can still pre-order Pac-Man. We expect to get a bunch, although whatever we get is never enough. Someone drew a Pac-Man box there. West Coast shortage. While Video Takeout got a small number of copies of Pac-Man on March 9th, the store's April 1982 newsletter shares the news that while the east coast of the U.S. was drowning in copies, the game was nearly non-existent west of the Mississippi River. I think they're calling them out. What do they say here? As many of you know, we are intent on being the first with a new cartridge, so you can be the first in your neighborhood with a new game. Those of you who have taken advantage of the pre-orders have found we do a darn good job of getting it to you fast, like Barnstorming, Grand Prix, Demon Attack, Haunted House, Super Breakout, Storm Voyager, to name a few. Well, a funny thing happened to Pac-Man on its way to Video Takeout. Atari, after sending us a tiny allotment early, March 9th, making us the first in the country with Pac-Man. Some of you early bird pre-orders were very lucky and got yours of our first allotment. Chose to send the next several orders to the East Coast, where we understand they felt they could make more money faster. But yeah, they're calling out Atari, with more dealers in smaller geographical area. East of the Mississippi, the folks have been wading through thousands and thousands of Pac-Mans, now discounted to extreme ends by panicked retailers. Meanwhile, west of the Mississippi, except in a few isolated cases, Pac-Man is nearly non-existent. In our frustration with Atari, we went elsewhere to get critical second shipment. It has meant, in some cases, selling them for less than we purchased them for. Oh, my goodness. Bad business, you say? Not bad business, because you come first, and we understand that you don't understand that we don't have Pac-Man. We hope Atari has learned from this marketing nightmare, and the situation never happens again. We understand that Pac-Man was unusual and that Pac-Mania has occurred. And in virtually all other new games, we have had what we needed when we needed it from Atari. If the stock from the East Coast was shipped west, there would likely be no Pac-Man shortage anywhere. Meanwhile, with so much emphasis on Pac-Man, we ask this question: can they possibly be on time with this May's Yar's Revenge release? Watch out, Atari. Magic and Activision are hot on your trail with fabulous product, and they deliver what we need for our customers on time. You see, they're calling them out. Coffee. Oh, once. Apologize for that, but I'm back. We should check out the prices too. What year? What did they say? 1982. So in 1982, if you wanted Pac-Man, it was $37. I'm gonna just see. Can I just type in like 37? Let's just see what happens. 37 USD adjusted for inflation. $37 US Do I have to put the year? 1982? $124.22. $124 adjusted for inflation. Well, all right, maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but see, that's what Google tells me. As seen on TV, Pac-Man, a television commercial for the VCS Pac-Man, emphasizes the game's family-oriented multiplayer nature, and of course, the fact that you could only play it on Atari.
First the Pac-Man eats through a maze of dots. Then the Pac-Man heads for the corner spots. Then he eats his fill of a power pill. And then all those ghosts turn blue. Boo! And Pac-Man eats them all too.
Only Atari makes the Pac-Man home video game, and you can only play it on an Atari video game system.
Have you played Atari today?
You know what's funny about that commercial is the ghosts are moving weird. And maybe I wonder if it has something, because of the way they blink out every fourth frame or whatever, I wonder if it has something to do with the speed of the film that they captured it with and all that stuff. Pac-Man 8-bit. The VCS version of Pac-Man may have gotten all the attention, but it wasn't the only version of Pac-Man that Atari released. This version for its home computers was much more similar to the look and feel of the arcade game. No pictures on the back. Let's check it out. Steer clear of Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde while clearing the maze of dots. In this version of Pac-Man, originally released for Atari's line of home computers, while it looks similar to the arcade game, this version plays more slowly and does not feature the animated intermission sequences. Look at the pictures. Look at Pac-Man. What? Press select for two-player game. Press option to change difficulty. Press start. He's got the down. You know, the Atari Pac-Man never faces down. It's only ever left and right. This definitely has a more similar feeling to arcade Pac-Man for sure. But it's got the weird, like, you know, because Pac-Man is like a vertical screen. So, you know, it's got like a wide screen here, which is weird. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. Something weird about does it work? Like, I guess it does. Because, you know, in Pac-Man, you can kind of, yeah, it does work. Okay. You can pre-hit your turn. Like, if I'm going this way, oh, hold on a second. I don't want to die. Let me just. All right, so I'm going this way, and if I want to go up, I press up now, and he goes up on the next turn. See? I didn't even do that. So while sometimes if you try to hit up right at the turn, it feels like it's sluggish, but actually you just need to pre-enter your turn. You know? I get that strawberry. No! Cake. No, get out. All right, fine. No, we're not. Ah, come on. These ghosts are aggressive. That's it. Of course, these days, you know, with the arcade games being so easy to play now, these home versions of arcade games are kind of more interesting than they are, you know, because you can just play Pac-Man now. But still pretty good though. That was pretty good. I would be happy to have that back in the day. Illustrating Pac-Man. Atari assigned staff artist Hiro Kimura with the task of coming up with new artwork for Pac-Man for the game boxes and manuals. Today, Pac-Man has a consistent visual identity, but in 1982, there were many different takes on the yellow dot eater. What's he doing? Look at that. Look at those. Wow. This guy, this guy eating that pack. Insane. Yeah. A good artwork. I mean, not really, doesn't really make me think of Pac-Man, but you know. He's killing it with the art, though. Pac-Man versus VCS box concept art. Kimura's original unused concept for the VCS version of Pac-Man cast the main character as a metallic wafer-chomping robot chased by massive, grotesque monsters. Oops. Yeah. Like, awesome artwork, but doesn't really feel like Pac-Man, you know. Look at that frog trying to get away. Would make you think that maybe a frog is in the... But I mean, you know, they're definitely ghosts, right? Like, so this is very, like, you know, he's not even trying to be like he's just doing whatever he feels like. Box art, take 2. The next pass of the box art was closer to Namco's original Pac-Man illustrations. While still emphasizing the pink ghosts and rectangular wafers, the 2600 game, this version was used on some released game boxes. That's pretty good. Final box art. That's not as good. The last version of Pac-Man box art was unmistakably Pac-Man, an abstract version of the iconic wedged mouth sprite art. I much prefer this one. I don't know what one... I might have had this one, you know. Because that looks familiar to me, but I don't know. Atari 8-bit computer box art. Kimura's concept for a human proportioned Pac-Man did make it into some retail boxes for the Atari 8-bit computer version of the game, although his Pac-Man was yellow, not metallic. I guess it's fair to say you know, to put legs on Pac-Man. Because you're like, oh, how does he get around in real life? Like, if this was a real thing. But then the ghosts have legs, but they're ghosts, so I don't know. Pac-Man strategy meaning. An illustration by Hiro Kimura, used in the inner manual of the computer version of Pac-Man. That's pretty good. Atari 5200 box art. The original art for the Atari 5200 version of Pac-Man and an unused variant version. Artist unknown. Artist unknown. Mysterious. Pac-Man's legacy. Digital Eclipse Studio head Mike Micah joins Todd Fry for discussion of the impact, controversy, and enduring legacy of the VCS edition of Pac-Man.
When I play this version of Pac-Man, I actually have some really fond memories of it because I played this game with my dad, and we thought this was the greatest thing ever when it came out. We're big Pac-Man fans. The difference between this and, say, the arcade game, there were obvious differences, of course. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on why, like what the approach was and why some of these decisions are, say, for instance, like even the play field and the colors versus like the arcade game? What was behind some of that?
There was a rule at Atari that you couldn't use a black background unless you were a space game.
Yeah.
And you know, the reason for that is because these televisions, these CRTs, have phosphor screens back then, and you could get burn-in.
I was going to say, that still happens today even with OLEDs. I noticed because I've played the Atari on an OLED, and I've played this game called Mousetrap, and it has pure black.
Well, we had a rule, and and again, I've said this, I don't think there's anyone who says, wow, the game is way better with that blue background. But there are a lot of people who say, why isn't the arcade colors?
Yeah.
That's the answer. And I think it would have been probably better if it had the arcade colors. Now, what I'm fascinated by looking back is that no one in the signal path between me and out there went, oh, maybe we should give this game a pass on that rule. Well, the thing about these video games is that back then it was so new that I don't know, that you could walk up to a game and say what the most important features were. Now, I walked up to this game and said, well, ghosts, Pac-Man, dots, power pills, maze, right? I think there are some things that make Pac-Man Pac-Man.
Yep.
But we didn't know back then how much which less essential features were salient. My father had a pizza shop on Ocean Avenue in San Francisco in like the early 60s. And I used to go there when I was like 7 and 8. And there's this little pharmacy, and they had these comic books, which were great literature abridged versions, right? Of like, I don't know if you've ever seen these, but
I
it's
have.
like,
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's like, here's Treasure Island.
Exactly.
Here's pick another book whose name I forget.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. War and Peace,
Yep.
which, was 12 pages.
Extremely abridged.
Extremely abridged. And so I thought of this as being that, because we were not going to be able to get, like for instance, Pac-Man has a very distinct process. After I was done with this, I went with Jim Andreasen to Tokyo, to Namco, for them to explain how Pac-Man worked for the 400-800 version.
Yeah.
And each ghost has a separate algorithm for how it moves. When it comes to a decision point, I could never have done that with the amount of RAM and ROM I had. Yeah. Instead of having that algorithm for each player, I'm actually very proud of this. When they come out, I put it all together, and when they came out, all 4 ghosts were totally stuck together the first time I ran it. Because they all went the exact same. And it's like, whoa, I'm only getting,
There they go.
And so what I actually did, when ghost comes to an intersection, it has a choice of moving in your direction or moving randomly. And there's some odds, right? How smart they are. In later levels, actually, the odds that they will move towards you are higher.
Yeah.
And then I take the ghost numbers, 0, 1, 2, and 3, that's 2 bits. And I take the low order bit and I tweak the odds by which they will move towards you by adding that 1 bit into the percentage of tracking you. That makes them smart and smarter.
And unique personality.
And that's a unique personality. And then I take the second bit and add that to the speed it moves. So each ghost has a repeatable personality. Each ghost has a unique personality. This has slightly smarter and slower, slightly smarter and faster, slightly less smart and slower, and it's not this, So they're all, they separate now.
Yeah.
And they each have a perfectly predictable behavior. My ghosts, their decisions are all made by either a generated signal or your position at that time. So if it comes to an intersection and it's supposed to choose whether to go towards you or away from you, it will be the same choice every time if you have done the same thing up till then. As long as you repeat your pattern, the ghost will repeat their pattern, just like in real Pac-Man. And I am really proud of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Right. Do you remember how many they built to put into distribution?
I've been told that. Well, so I know I was paid royalties on 3 million for March.
Okay.
So I know that. I think they may have actually either shipped 3 million worth of boxes to retailers, or retailers may have actually sold at cash register 3 million. I don't know which. I was paid royalty for like 11 million Pac-Mans.
Oh, wow. You're watching television, there's TV shows on it. Could be Friends, it could be like so many TV series, and somebody's playing a video game, they have an Xbox controller, it doesn't matter what they have, but what do you hear when you're watching it? You hear Pac-Man. It's either Pac-Man or Donkey Kong.
You hear this Pac-Man.
You hear this Pac-Man, and that gonk, gonk, gonk sound. Like, these sounds, you created all these sounds in this game.
I created all of these sounds.
How do you feel when you hear this?
You know, it's actually really interesting, because really thinking about it, what that means is that for our generation, the 11 to 15 million copies that went out, actually, people who are making those soundtracks think people will relate to this sound. This is like...
It's become the video game sound.
It's become the video game sound, but it was the video game sound.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really the breakthrough video game that went from games selling 100,000, maybe 1 in 10 games or 1 in 20 games might sell 1 million.
Yeah.
To it sold 10 million.
It's crazy.
It's the explosion.
That's true. I did, you know, you do hear that, like people playing games, but it's the Atari sound. There's a bunch of movies, and I can't remember. Yeah. Oh, Dig Dug. Atari published Namco's next cartoon action game, Dig Dug, in arcades in the U.S. Like Pac-Man, Dig Dug featured colorful, appealing characters and unique gameplay. It was a huge hit in arcades in 1982. Looks like we get to play the arcade Dig Dug here. That's interesting. Dig your way to victory. In the original Dig Dug arcade game, inflate pukas and figars, and just drop rocks on their heads. Either way you choose, it's time to thwart the underground invasion, grab veggies for extra points, and go for a high score. Let's play it. Oh yeah, look at that screen. That's right. How do you start? This? Yeah, there we go. The button. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and the music only plays when you walk. Let's get this guy. He's running away. This guy's gonna try to ambush us. Oh, didn't get him. Yes. I knew I was this good at Dig Dug. Go the fire! I knew it. He stopped moving. I knew he was going to do it too. I'm a jerk. No! To get it! Oh, I can't! This guy has killed me twice now. Look at the fire on that. What a way to go, by the way. Inflating something until it dies. Dude, think we're gonna get the high score? Maybe. Is the real like strategy just to be in a vertical tunnel like this and wait for them to come up? What? Hold the pump button. We gotta try to get the high score here. Oh, no. Oh, he's getting away, get away. No. Yes. Oh, squished. 1,000 points, baby. Oh, no. What? Where's he going? Do. This is a bad spot. Oh, I'm facing the wrong way. Get out of here. Stop it with your facing the wrong ways. Oh, yes. Where's this guy going? He's not getting away. Get our flowers at the top. Maybe get a bonus life. Maybe 1 up. Do. Oh, there's 2 dudes here. Oh, I wasn't. That's ridiculous. Oh. I was hoping to get that guy with the rock, but did not work out. Oh, eggplant. No. I don't think so, buddy. Do boom boom. How do you do? Oh, that was tough. Having 2 dudes. I did pretty well there, though. Got the high score, 17,370. Beat that. Go for the world record now. Go for the world record. All right, pretty good. Atari Dig Dug Flyer. Atari's promotional flyer for the US release of Dig Dug called out the fact that it was a maze game, like Pac-Man, but an evolution of the genre in which players could create their own mazes. Really is similar. Puka Dig Dug Figar. Dig Dug is an exciting new type of maze game. These screenshots. See, that would psych you up. You saw screenshots like that. You'd be flipping out. Dig Dug magazine ad. Ask for it when you play coin video games, says the ad. Where you play coin video games, says the ad for Atari's arcade Dig Dug cabinet. Could you do that? Like, just go in and be like, hey, look at the rocks. These kids are playing on rocks. I guess they're not kids, are they? Good for one free play. Atari provided arcade operators with a coupon they could distribute, redeemable for one free play of Dig Dug. Start digging today. Namco's Dig Dug Flyer. Namco's Japanese flyer for Dig Dug called out the individual on-screen enemies and obstacles and highlighted the different gameplay mechanics with humorous illustrations. Look at that. Dig Dug goes to the movies. Atari's promotional campaign for Dig Dug included this amazing trailer that ran in movie theaters, accompanied by an original Dig Dug song. What? Let's check it out.
I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending the 3rd International Conference on Science and Technology. This afternoon,
What
our
the heck
agenda
is that?
Well, I don't know, but that's another one.
Good gracious, there goes another one.
They're multiplying.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin. Mysterious underground creatures are moving your way.
We have a problem here.
Come on, everybody. Take a chance. We're going underground to do the Dig Dug dance. First you tunnel through a wall of dirt. Follow under rocks without being hurt. Quick now, turn around. What do you do?
For that.
Dig dug. Dig dug. Dig dug.
play with them so we can all have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Dig Dug, the greatest lineup of them all. Dig Dug. Dig
I recognized like a lot of actual actors in that commercial, by the way. Like real honest to goodness actors. Dig Dug, D. Dig Dug. Pac-Man 5200. While Atari launched its next generation of 5200 game consoles in late 1982, one of the first games available was, of course, Pac-Man. It was based on the computer version, but played much faster and featured the arcade game's famous animated intermission scenes. See if we can zoom in on this. Whoop. Hey. Now's your chance to really excel in arcade-like fun. Atari Pac-Man is as much fun as the original arcade game. Chase the ghost, eat the dots, and go for the tasty fruit bonuses. Master the maze, turn the key, and whopping 5,000 bonus points. A whopping. Steer clear of Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde while clearing the maze of dots in this launch title for the Atari 5200 console. Atari's final official version of the original Pac-Man was based on the 8-bit computer version, but was improved with dramatically faster gameplay and the addition of the animated intermission sequences between rounds. Dig Dug, D. Dig Dug, D. The ghosts are definitely faster. Like, this is a good, like, you wouldn't complain if you had this version at home. You'd be like, this is Pac-Man. This is definitely Pac-Man. Man, I want to get that strawberry, though. Or the cherries or whatever they were. Oh, kid. They go away so quick. What? He beat me to it? I'm again it. I'm not for it. I'm again it. What? This red one. Who's the red one again? Inky? I think he's Inky. Pinky is pink. Blinky is blue. The colors are wrong. Game's tough. All right, it's pretty much the same as the 8-bit computer version we played earlier, but you know, pretty good. Probably the best of the home version we played so far. Pac-Man 5200 review, computer entertainer newsletter. Celebrated the 5200 version's fidelity to the arcade original, but noted that the 5200's non-centering analog control is poorly suited to playing Pac-Man. The review was also noted that the usefulness of what was then a cool feature, a pause button. All right. 4 out of 3? What? 3 out of 4. Is that what it is? Pac-Man has all the musical and visual charm of the arcade game by Bally Midway and has captured the fancy of millions. No more flashing ghosts, folks, And all the little fruit prizes you expect to find are here in this version. There are even intermission cartoons scattered here and there. With all the good news, why didn't we give this version of Pac-Man a higher gameplay rating? The analog joystick that we like so well on most of the games can be a drawback in this one because the joystick does not snap back to the center position when released. It can be tough to turn corners exactly where you want to. In the heat of the chase, you can think you're pushing straight up on the joystick and find out that you're actually pushing the upward right diagonal. This you find out after the ghost demolishes your Pac-Man, and you look down at the joystick in your hand and see that it's where it's really pointing. While we feel the real Pac-Man fanatic will gradually overcome this problem with a lot of practice, it may be discouraging to a casual player. This criticism aside, the game is totally charming and lots of fun to play. One feature that's very helpful to the player who really wants to study this game is the pause button on the hand controller. When you can see that your demise is imminent, you can hit pause, freeze the game action, and study your options, something you certainly cannot do on the arcade game. Recommended. The control not centering sounds terrible, though, honestly. Galaxian on the 5200, but Pac-Man wasn't the only Namco game playable on the 5200. The new game machine also launched with a 5200 version of Namco's 1979 arcade game Galaxian. While there had been several unauthorized versions, this was the first official home version of Galaxian. Look at that art. Boop, 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 boop. Trackball compatible. Was Galaxian a trackball game? Destroy the fleet of Galaxian invaders in the Atari 5200 version of this legendary arcade shooter. This version and the identical version of the Atari 8-bit computers were the first official home versions of Galaxian ever released. I like Galaxian. Prefer a Galaga, but, you know, what can you do? Away. Take it easy. Sure, a lot of dive bombers. Yeah. Again, this is like a 4-3 game, but Galaxian pretty sure was just a vertical screen. So the amount of like movement you have to do from side to side to get all the Galaxians is quite a bit more than in the arcade game, where you could just sort of shift back and forth and be on the other side of the screen already. Oh god. No! Game over. All right. It's good enough. I'm not like super enamored with this version, but it's all right. Galaxian Warriors, a TV commercial for the 5200 version of Galaxian, shows the game from the perspective of the alien squad, who actually end up winning the game. Wait, are we the baddies?
Galaxian Warriors, today we're going up against the most feared commander. And everyone counts. Even you, Quid.
Man your ships. Man your ships. Man your ships. We're going in! Assume attack formation. All wings ready, sir. Okay, I'm peeling off. Cover me. Cover me!
Roger on that, Blue Leader.
Heavy fire, 17 degrees. Affirmative.
This guy's good.
Watch your back.
We lost Blue Leader.
I'm hit. Who's left?
Quid.
No!
Quid, you're a credit to your cartridge. Galaxian, the arcade hit, now for the Atari 2600 system.
Pretty sick commercial. Box art. Original art used for the boxes of the 5200 and computer versions of Galaxian by artist Jim Kelly. That's pretty good. It looks just like the, where's the... Oh, here they have like matte. It's like the same poses, but they're different. Yeah. It's weird. They like went over it again and made it look more spacey. Which player is about to score? A magazine advertisement for Atari's version of Galaxian presents 2 scenarios and challenges the reader to pick the highest scoring strategy. Which player is about to score with flying colors? I don't know. What's the answer? Galaxian 8-bit. Atari also released a version of Galaxian for its home computers, which was basically identical to the 5200 release, since the 5200 was based on the 8-bit computer hardware. You can play this one, but if it's the same thing, we'll check it out anyway. Destroy the fleet of Galaxian invaders in the Atari 8-bit computer version of the legendary arcade shooter. This version and the identical version for the 5200 were the first official home versions of Galaxian ever released. All right. Well, it's identical, so maybe we won't. Let's just for a second just see it. And I died. This one has a... Did the other one have a TV around it, like a TV? I think it had... All of a sudden, I'm a best Galaxian player ever. Oh, no. No. You got a fat ship in this. Did you always have a fat ship in Galaxian? Your ship in this seems very fat. Kind of remember him not... Okay. That's a good version of it, though. Galaxian 5200 review. The staff of Computer Entertainer newsletter gave the Atari 5200 version of Galaxian 4 stars in its November 1982 issue, calling it an excellent version of an arcade game that will save you a lot of quarters. It's weird how they have... It looks like, yeah, it looks like they're... It looks like their star system goes like 4 is how many you can possibly get, and then the second one, this... You know, usually you're like 3 out of 4, but it's like 4... It's like opposite anyway. Xevious. Namco's arcade division continued to produce hits, Perhaps none as influential as Xevious, which not only kicked off the vertical scrolling shooter genre, but also praised for its deeply fleshed out world and characters. Atari published the arcade version in the US the same month as its Japanese debut. Xevious. Board the Salvalu and take on the forces of Xevious, and the grandfather of all vertical shooting arcade shooters. The original arcade version was a highly influential game, not only for its dual button air-to-ground shooting action, but for its fleshed out characters and world building. I like Xevious, by the way. Played the NES version of this quite a bit. I remember I used to rent it. Oh, 2 for 1. These things here, you gotta hit them in the middle, I think? Yeah. Oh! Solvalu. What kind of word is that? Barely even pronounceable. Ready, Solvalu? Oh, come on, I hit that. Okay, these you can't kill, I don't think. You just gotta dodge them. Extra life. Can we blow up this big thing? Can you go in this or something? Soul Baloo. Oh, maybe you gotta hit it again. I don't know. I don't remember what those things are. Boy, what? Oh, you are very slow. Like, your Solvaloos are very slow. I'll get another shot at that thing. Maybe we can figure out what to do with it. If there is anything to do with it. I don't know. I thought you could maybe go in it. Maybe I'm thinking of like Wings of War or whatever that game is. You know. Like, get out of town with your bullets. All right, we got 5th place though. Okay. That's Xevious. Xevious is pretty good. Atari Xevious Flyer. The flyer for Atari's version of Xevious called it the challenge of a lifetime. We just experienced the challenge of a lifetime. Yeah, look at the big ship there. Magazine ads. Atari took out multiple advertisements in consumer magazines that let them know about the new game they could find in their local arcade. Not a very good screenshot there, but... Oh yeah, there's the boss, yeah, the big thing. Does it have a... I don't know, it doesn't have a... It has just a regular joystick, not a flight stick or something. Operators prepare. An advertisement from Atari lets arcade game operators know that its upcoming release of Xevious would be supported by a major media blitz, including TV and radio ads. I guess that's important if you're going to have one in your arcade. You want to know people are going to know it exists. 30-second television commercial will air during primetime sports, late night, and special shows, including Saturday Night Live, American Bandstand, and Dance Fever. Namco's Xevious Flyer. Namco's Japanese flyer for Xevious was a deluxe 6-page fold-out sheet. Holy crap. See, that's nice. Look at all the different everything's. The Japanese stuff is always so much more, like... The presentation is always good. Like, it's always better. Xevious postcards. Promotional postcards distributed in Japan show the Andor, Genesis, Graboda, and Terraza enemies. Terrazi? We got this one. Collector's items now, I suppose. Easter egg. Want to see Xevious developer Masanobu Endo's Easter egg? As soon as you begin the game, move your Salivu to the lower right corner of the screen and rapidly press the bomb button until the message comes up. Ivizu is Endo's nickname. Original program by Ivizu. Didn't know that existed. The world of Xevious. The 16 different levels in Xevious each show one slice of a larger world map. The full map shown here is not ordinarily viewable in the game. Look at that. So it's like one big world. That's interesting. Design documents. Design documents from the development of the arcade versions of Xevious. Guys, I got this napkin with my ideas on it. Can you make a game? Galaxian, VCS. Atari had one more version of Galaxian up its sleeve, this one for the Atari VCS. Since the arcade game was already 4 years old, by this point the box called it an arcade classic, an early example of a retro game release. While some believed that replicating Namco's colorful, dynamic outer space shooter for the Atari 2600 was impossible, programmers Mark Ackerman and Glenn Parker were able to display vastly more on-screen enemies using a new graphics technique for which they were awarded a patent. Oops. Look at that. This is impressive. But then Space Invaders had a lot of enemies on the screen too, right? But I guess they weren't in color? How did they get all the Space Invaders on the screen? I wonder if they were the same situation as with the dots, where they were like a background element until they weren't, until they redrew every time you shoot one. I don't know. It's a good question posed by myself. This is pretty good. I don't know if I don't think I ever had this. Maybe I did. I don't remember really, but I don't think so. Got like a less thick ship too than in the 5200 version or whatever. I'm devastating the Galaxians here, by the way. Oh. Man. Imagine what they could do like with this technology with Pac-Man. They might have had a better Pac-Man. I think people have already made like a homebrew better version of Pac-Man, have they not? I want to say that might be the case. This is like a surprisingly good version of Galaxian, by the way. Like that's it. I'd like to see a video on that. Oh, Mark Ackerman, one of the designers of the VCS version of Galaxy, explains the development process and how he was awarded a patent for his efforts to replicate the arcade gameplay. Interesting. All right, let's watch it.
The job at General Computer was actually my first job. You know, they had just inked a deal with Warner, Atari's parent at the time, to do a whole bunch of games, and they didn't have enough people to do it. So, you know, they were happy to find more people. And they said, you know, can you program something with 128 bytes of RAM? And I thought they meant 128K, which was a reasonable amount at the time, only to find out later when I showed up that it was much smaller. And it was a great experience. One of the reasons that Warner came to General Computer was they thought that they would get a more professional atmosphere and work product. But again, there was fun. We had a fire pole to get from the second floor to the first floor. We had an arcade. We played games on our coffee breaks. You know, everybody was really top notch. In '83, GCC hired more MIT graduates than any other company besides IBM and Xerox. So everybody was really good. And I was one of the oldest people. I think I was all of 27 or something. Glenn Parker was actually part of that team as well. For Galaxian, it was just Glenn and myself. Glenn was a great programmer, and he was doing the gameplay. I was doing the graphics part because I wanted to learn how to do that. You know, we could ask each other questions or whatever, and he was sitting right in back of me, or I guess on the other side of me. And so we could bounce things off of each other on a constant basis. There was also Patty Goodson, who did the music and some of the early graphics, because I can't draw and I can't do music. The music is actually really hard on the Atari 2600 because it's not a full octave. She had to kind of skip parts to make it sound right. So that was really great that she could do that. I don't know how long that would have taken us to do it. The other problem, though, was that the graphics on the Atari couldn't really handle the number of sprites that were available in the actual Galaxians. If you remember Space Invaders, it was really only 6 across because that was the standard thing. I will give, again, I'll give myself a little credit here, but I managed to discover through, again, kind of random luck, a way to get 8 things on a line and be able to turn them off and on. And that was really just hacking the code and freaking out the chip so that it did things that weren't part of the spec. And that's, I think, what really made the game. And then, of course, we went to the Consumer Electronics Show where it was shown for the first time. And it was, again, quite an ego stroke to kind of stand there and watch the programmers from other companies come and go, how did they do that? And so, you know, that I was kind of standing off to the side so I could kind of watch. So, you know, I think Patty did a really nice job with the music and the sound effects, and the visuals were at least looked real. And, you know, the graphics weren't as chunky as they were on earlier games. I mean, Atari gave it to us at GCC because they thought it was an impossible cartridge. And so, you know, to be able to come back and say, oh, by the way, we figured out how to make it work was really a big win.
I love hearing about those, you know, the hacks and things that people do to get stuff out of a machine that you normally couldn't get. Atari box art, original art used for the Atari VCS Galaxian box by artist Hiro Kimura. This guy shows up a lot. It's really nice. Bug ships. Look out below. An ad for the Atari Age magazine touted the impending release of Galaxian for the Atari VCS. Galaxian 2600 review. Computer Entertainment Newsletter reviewer was over the moon for the 2600 version of this all-time classic, calling it one more example to remind the gamer that the little Atari 2600 is capable of great things in the hands of really good programmer. Yeah. Agreed. Dig Dug 8-bit. Atari released its first home version of Dig Dug in early 1983 for its 8-bit computer line. You don't just play Dig Dug, you feel it. Not a great box, to be honest. The original version of Dig Dug for Atari computers. This unique version has slightly different gameplay from the arcade original. Soon after its release, Atari stopped selling this version, replacing it with an identical port of the Atari 5200 game. Wait a minute. Wait, I can't... Is that a rock? Oh, that's a rock, I think. Inflating dudes is weird. It doesn't stay... The little inflator hose thing doesn't... This guy's trying to get away. Not gonna happen, buddy. You just gotta keep tapping it, and then it pops out, and every time it pops out, it inflates him a little more. It doesn't feel as good, I'll say. Oh! You also can't... I'm pretty sure in the arcade game you can get them when they're the ghost eyes. But here... No, sir. Oh, you also can't... In the arcade game as well, if there's a tiny bit of... No! If there's a little bit of dirt, you can cross it with your hose. What? I don't know about this. He shouldn't be able to breathe fire while I'm inflating him. It's not right. All right. I don't much like that version compared to the arcade version, to be honest. Dig Dug box art. Original art used on the covers of the computer, VCS, and 7800 version of Dig Dug by artist Gus Allen. Gus did this. That's pretty good. Dig Dug promotional art. Illustration of Dig Dug and Puka by artist Michael Anthony. Didn't he play in Van Halen? It's pretty good, I guess. Manual art. Illustration of the Puka used in the manual for Dig Dug on Atari 5200. It's a good Puka. Dig Dug 5200. In October 1983, Atari released the Dig Dug for home game consoles. This version for the 5200 was totally different than the computer version released earlier in the year. And in fact, this version would eventually be ported to 8-bit computers, replacing the original. Oh, so a better version, maybe. All right. Dig to defeat Puka and Frygar, but keep an eye out for valuable veggies. This version of Dig Dug for the Atari 5200 was the closest to the arcade experience that American gamers could experience in 1983, and was also available for the Atari 8-bit computer line. All right, it feels better. A little bit, kind of. Can I just hold the button, maybe? Oh, hold on. This guy's trying to get away. No! I got away. No, you can't hold the button. still feels better though than the last one. Okay, and you can seems like you can get them in the Ghost Eyes mode, which is more arcade-like. They do. Okay, I'm down with this version. This version's good. It's fine. It's totally acceptable if you were a arcade dude. Got him with a rock too. Oh, what? Oh, it just touched my foot. That ain't right, though. I'll tell you that much. What? All right, that's a good version. Not as good as the arcade, but, like, you know, much better than the last one. Best way to inflate. Dig Dug inflates Frygar almost to bursting in this magazine advertisement with the console versions of Dig Dug. But which approach will best boost your high score? Is the player on the right approaching? It's the player on the right approaching horizontally. Is it? Why? Horizontally is better? I didn't know that. New cartridge report. Atari Age magazine announces the impending arrival of Dig Dug in this preview article, which shows screenshots from both the VCS and 5200 versions. I'm pretty sure I had the Atari version of this. A minor sensation? Haha. You'll Dig Dug, a 2-page magazine ad for the home versions of Dig Dug. A blurry screenshot. Dig Dug. Dig Dug 5200 review. Dig Dug contains all the delightful silliness and challenging gameplay of the original. Reads the July 1983 review from the Computer Entertainer newsletter. 3.5 stars. Oh, that must be two. It must be given two ratings then. Like one is like graphics and one is gameplay or something. 3.5, 3.5. Must be what it's doing. Dig Dug VCS, developed by GCC, which had also created the VCS version of Galaxian. The VCS port of Dig Dug was surprisingly faithful and fun. Translation of the original game on what was now 6-year-old hardware. Dig to defeat Puka and Frygar, but keep an eye out for the valuable veggies. While the Atari 2600 was already 6 years old by the time Dig Dug was released, its programmers were able to create a remarkable translation of the game to the very different hardware. Maybe I didn't have this. This now doesn't look all that. Oh. Maybe or maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe I did, though. Having flashbacks about the ghost eye sprites in this. Nailed the music. What? He immediately went ghost. Oh, don't. Where are you going? They're like pretty aggressive in this. They don't just walk around for very long. Tried to get that guy. This guy's gonna escape. Not likely, buddy. You're gonna appear in here. Oh, get them both. Yes! You can explode them real fast in this, though. Like, you can handle bigger groups because of how fast you can explode them. Oh, what? The fire range? Oh my god. I don't know if they can shoot down and up, though. Maybe that's why it's more points to get them horizontally, because that's the way they can shoot. I wanted to... No! Yes! No! Uh-oh. This guy's just gonna leave, yeah. Get out of here. Get out of here. He's just safer at the top. I wonder if it's safer just to hang out the top and get them as they come up. Is that a real strat? I think it might be a real strat. How fast? Like in the arcade game, you wouldn't be able to do that. Because the other guy would get on top of you before you could explode the one guy. Maybe I have this on easy or something. Seems very easy. Do you get points for tunneling in this? Yeah, you do. Oh. All right. Well, that's maybe enough of Atari Dig Dug. I could probably just keep going on that. That feels pretty easy. Normal mode it was on. What's the different... just normal and easy? It's not termites. It's a TV commercial for Atari's Dig Dug.
It's not termites. It isn't mice. It's Dig Dug, the new video game cartridge from Atari. Console sold separately and hooked up by an adult. You dig for balloon men. You dig for dragons. You can dig yourself into all sorts of trouble. The question is, can you dig yourself out? Dig Dug, the Atari video game cartridge. Versions available for all Atari systems. Console sold separately.
Good one. All right. 7800 Dig Dug. When the Atari 7800 game system finally hit shelves in May 1986, a Namco classic was there on day one. Dig Dug. The enhanced power of the hardware meant that this version was closest to the original arcade game. I'll be the judge of that. Dig to defeat Puka and Fire by keeping an eye out for valuable veggies created in 1984, but delayed for 2 years alongside the 7800 hardware. This high-quality version of Dig Dug was eventually released as a 7800 launch title in May of 1986. High quality. It does look high quality. Oh, this is good, yeah. Oh, okay, this is definitely more like the arcade game for sure. How did I do that guy? Get that guy so quick? Oh, where you going, buddy? No, the little bit of dirt. It's trying to get my flowers. Stay away from me flowers. Oh, I was so screwed there. If that was a 2600 version, I would have killed them all, though. Doo-doo. They just immediately went eyeballs. Oh, you got... Eggplant was there too. That's a good version of Dig Dug, though. It is. Galaga, Namco's celebrated follow-up to Galaxian, was not available for any home platform in America until 1986 when the Atari 7800 version was released. One of the most popular arcade shooters of all time, Galaga was already 5 years old by the time this version was released for the Atari 7800 platform. If a Galagan flagship captures you in its macro beam, destroy it to get your command ship back into action. But the thing about Galaga is that you want to get captured, right? At least normally. To get your double shot. You want to get captured and then free it, and then you get your double ship, right? It's the first stage where they don't fire. Can we get this guy to try to beam us, or no? I don't know which ships beam you. Maybe not this guy. Maybe the green guys do. We'll leave some green guys alive. Maybe we can get beamed. Oh, I got ass exploded. Do 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 do. Oh. There. Ooh. Oh no! Ah, crap. Oh man. Bad news. I screwed up. I screwed up. Oh, yeah. All right, fair enough. That's a decent version of Galaga, though. I wouldn't scoff at that version of Galaga. What's in a name? According to planner Shigeru Yokoyama, Galaga is a portmanteau of Galaxian and Ga, the Japanese word meaning moth, appropriate for a game about space bugs. Box art. Original art used for the box of the 7800 version of Galaga by prolific game box artist Mark Erickson, who painted over 90 different video game boxes over the course of his career. He looks like the Yar's Revenge. Video game update. The September 1986 issue of Computer Entertainer gave good, although not perfect, scores for the Atari 7800 versions of Galaga and Dig Dug. They also liked Food Fight. Xevious 7800. The final game released during the golden era of Atari Namco partnership was the 7800 version of Xevious. The first home console version of Namco's classic vertical shooter released in the US, this version of Xevious captured much of the arcade game's appeal. I'll be the judge of that. Ooh. Oh, there's only one button. Oh. That's interesting. Makes it a little easier, maybe? Yeah, like the arcade game has a separate bomb button, but here it just... you shoot and it also bombs. The thing is much closer. Like, the space between you and the enemies when they come from the top of the screen is considerably less. But it does capture the feeling of the game, I guess. That sucks. Do 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 do. Ooh. But they don't set you back very far or at all. Like here, they move me forward when I died. It seemed because I hadn't even hit these guys yet. See if that big temple with the thing is in this. Should be coming up here, right? I don't understand that. I don't know if that's special or not. Ah, I swear that was something. Perhaps I'm having a Through the Loom memory here, but I think that was something. Arrgh. All right, that's decent. It feels harder though because everything's so compact. Like the enemies come out so close to from the top of the screen to you. So Xevious 7800 review. Computer Entertainer's review of Xevious praised the 7800 conversion, but criticized the skimpy black and white game's manual and its lack of crucial information about the game's enemies. They give you 21 Xevion forces worth various amount of points, but no pictures. As a result, there's no way to plan your strategy for maximum points until you play the game many times. A Garu Dorota Mega Station is worth 2,000 points, while a Logram Sphere Station is only good for 300. It would be nice to know which is which. Yeah, they're trying to save money, of course. MSR of $12.50, by the way. That's pretty cheap. How Xevious almost came to VCS. Todd Fry's discusses his impossible port of Xevious to the Atari VCS hardware.
We were doing things that weren't possible. Xevious was not possible. I was the third engineer assigned Xevious. I was working on my Sword Quest Air World, I Ching-based game, and they asked someone to do Xevious. I said, I can't do that. And they gave it to someone else for a couple of weeks. Again, I won't name names. He said, I can't do that. So they said, Todd. And I did something, but it was not possible. There was not a snowball's chance in hell of making Xevious work on the Atari 2600. So what we had to do was find the essence. Polar's Defender captures the essence of Defender. You can tell it's Defender. It's got a lot of flicker. Pac-Man captures the essence of Pac-Man. You can tell it's Pac-Man. It's got a lot of flicker. Xevious has the scrolling background, which is totally doable, and it's got something like up to 20 moving objects on the screen without flicker. They're all in little horizontal slices. But it's not only they're in horizontal slices, but they're actually in two horizontal slices scrolling over each other at different speeds. And that is awesome. It's like, it is an awesome piece of software that captured the essence. So what is it that's fun about that? It's like, so Xevious has a lot of stuff going on in the air. And there's a lot of different things that can be flying at you fast. And then it also has things going on the ground. So you have two planes, you got these tanks on the ground that you can shoot with ground shooting bullets. You got these things in the sky that you can shoot with sky shooting bullets. You don't have to worry about running into the things on the ground, but they might shoot at you. And you do have to worry about dodging. It's fast. This is what made Xevious appealing at that time. People had learned enough about playing these games that they could effectively play two games at the same time. Shoot the thing on the ground and dodge from and shoot the things in the sky, which maybe people would not have. Actually, it's funny to think about again. Weird. 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier, 7 years earlier, when combat was the game, people might not have been able to play Xevious. I invented a way to intertwine multiple display drivers on this 2600 screen. I did this for Rob Dibble's NFL football game, where we wanted the players in their little horizontal slices, right? But I wanted two horizontal slices. I wanted one horizontal slice for the blue team and one horizontal slice for the red team. I stayed until 1 o'clock that morning, and I left it on Rob's screen so that when he came in, there were two sets of objects vertically scrolling, X's and O's, red X's and blue O's, going like this because they're running on completely separate screens, they thought. The red screen was keeping track of its vertical positions and was completely separated from the blue screen, but they were intertwined. So if you turn the blue screen off, the red screen would be going like this. You turn the red screen off and put the blue screen on, it'd be going like this. You put both on and they're going like that. And it's really cool. I mean, it was It was a eureka moment. But in Xevious, I needed something like 3 or 4 separate sets of objects. There's stuff coming down and shooting at you, and you need my shots going up, and you need the ground moving down, and the things moving on the ground. Yeah, miscellaneous, nightmarish wizardry in there. I mean, I get a really high moving. Get a really high graphics complexity count up there on Xevious for the 2600. I used everything for the moving objects, right? Gray tanks moving across the ground, all kinds of different stuff flying in the sky. Those were all in one sprite, and they were vertically separated. But if you separate them across enough, it kind of looks like a bunch of stuff. You can't quite tell that there's only one stream of them coming. If there's some over here and some over here, and they're moving like this, it looks plenty complex. But I was out of things. I have to keep track of where the player is. And what I decided to do was to use a 4-bit wide missile and horizontally position it just a little bit to make it a little bit of a comma, upside down comma shape, and then flip it the next screen. It flickered to be an upside. So I made kind of an upside down V ship out of the single bit of the missile. That's the ship. It's the missile. In the same way, that's funny, in the same way that I made the fruit out of a ball and a missile. I mean, this is how close you are to scraping the bottom of the barrel when you're doing impossible coin-op conversions on the Atari 2600. Oh, I'll make a piece of graphics that in the coin-op is a sweet-looking little cherry. I will make out of a blue block with a orange block inside of it. And that seemed like a good idea at the time, and it was. And I will take a single pixel of graphics and make it into a V-shaped ship. It's like that is like really reaching down to the very last drop.
So this was not released, right? Is that my understanding? Xevious Obstacles. Atari graphic artist Alan Murphy's notes and illustrations of the Xevious enemies prepared during the development of the cancelled 5200 version. The end of the beginning. Where Atari Japan failed, Namco thrived, becoming one of the most groundbreaking, influential game publishers of all of Japan. But that's another story. Is that going to be another DLC as well? Let's check out the game library. We're at the end of the timeline here. See if there's anything. Yeah, look, there's. Oh, this is just every game. Oh yeah, this is every game. There's not a way to filter original pack 1. Okay, here. Dig Dug. Xevious, Dig Dug, Galaxian, Pac-Man, Dig Dug. Alright, there's nothing we didn't play. In the original, like, base game, there were games in the library that weren't in the thingy. How come I have explored 0%? I've been ripped off. Oh, now it's 100%. Did it. All right, well, I guess that's the end of Pac-Man and Beyond. We'll see if they have more downloadable content for this in the future. That would be great, I think. I mean, Activision would be the killer one you'd want, but who knows if they'd be able to do that. But they may have another Namco thing. They're alluding to more Namco later. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, thanks for hanging out for this extra bonus edition for Atari 50. We'll be back with a brand new game next time. See you then.